let's begin with Pat McAfee and the Indianapolis Colts. Pat McAfee going on, people used to say to me in the early days, how many characters do you have for a tweet? It used to be 140 way back when. Thankfully for me, I don't think Super 70s would have ever gotten off of the ground at 140 characters. You can't say shit, even if you're very economical with your words in that amount of time. They doubled it to 280, which gave me a chance at least to get noticed on Twitter. But Pat McAfee going way beyond 280 characters on X in assessing the debacle that he believes the Indianapolis Colts are. Yesterday, of course, they lost to the New York Giants. And the one thing that the New York Giants have been good at this year is positioning themselves to get the potential number one pick in next year's draft. The Colts just getting handled yesterday. The Giants putting up 40-plus points to dispatch them. And Pat McAfee has seen enough. Let's go to Pat McAfee's words here, if we can. And I'll try to work up a little bit of righteous indignation as I lead you through this. Pat McAfee saying, I've said what I believe to be the truth about the team, and a bunch of Colts fans, in air quotes, on the internet were trying to get me booed out of the city. Current players who have won nothing during their entire tenures started using me and my face to try and paint me as the enemy in the city I've committed my life to. And in the end, everything went just like I fucking said it would. So Pat McAfee here about to take a little bit of a victory lap and about to throw a lot of people under the bus with his words. He continues, a blind person could see the red flags on this team. Worth ethic questions never happens on good teams. Preparation commitment questions never happens on good teams. Late to meetings never happens on good teams. Late to skipping treatment. Guess what, folks? Never happens on good teams. The franchise QB tapped out of a game on third down in the red zone because he was tired. Never happened in the history of the NFL. Pat's on a roll now. Don't stop him. It's like John Belushi in Animal House. I hope they become a good franchise again. This city deserves it. The OGs in the Colts building deserve it. Equipment managers, trainers, ticketing, PR, sales, the common man, if you will, baby. It's Dusty Rhodes once would have said. And on the flip side, the players and coaches in that building deserve whatever happens to them. Your unwarranted arrogance, laziness, and lack of professionalism has led you to another early vacation, which is probably what most of you entitled bums have been hoping for. Tell us what you really think. Pat McAfee going nuclear on the Indianapolis Colts organization. And with some reason. I don't know. I can't work up that many hard feelings about the Indianapolis Colts, but Pat McAfee certainly has them, and he's a Colts legend. God damn it. So maybe some ears should be perking up and listening to McAfee in what he says. Anthony Richardson, I'm telling you, look, every young quarterback is the thing to be excited about, and he's going to be the person who leads us to the promised land. Armando Salguero, I remember early this year when he was talking about Anthony Richardson, he acted like he was on a roller coaster. I'm not going to attempt to recreate it, but we should probably pull that footage at some point. Anthony Richardson's terrible. He's terrible. We're playing in an era where you can complete 60% of your passes blindfolded, and the guy is struggling to reach 50. That's bad accuracy by 1970s and 80s standards, much less the glorified flag football, toss it around to your buddies fest that we have in the modern NFL. So the Colts are definitely a wreck, and Pat McAfee is all over that. Cam Ward, you may be aware, Miami's quarterback set a new NCAA record for most touchdown passes in his career in college football this week. And then he proceeded to set out the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl after that. 3 touchdown passes, I believe it was, in the first half of that game. And then Cam Ward dropped the microphone. Elvis has left the building. Armando Salguero again, the great one. I'm quoting him twice early in this program, talking about how apparently there was some deal made between himself and Miami head coach Mario Cristobal about Cam's involvement in the game. And look, it's a little hard for me to get worked up about this one. We all know, if you watch this program, I tend to be an old school traditionalist. I'm a believer that you show up and you play the games and you play the games out all the way. You don't tap out on third down in the red zone like Anthony Richardson did. But the Pop-Tarts Bowl in the modern college game, which is really the pre-pro game, for some guys, it's the only time that they're going to play professional football is in college. That's where we have arrived. The guys who are really blessed are going to make a lot of money playing professional football at the college level before they go to the NFL and are officially fully professionals. And they might have the opportunity to make more money if they are truly elite. And Cam Ward figures to be a pretty early draft pick in the 2025 draft, and apparently he decided he didn't want to risk getting hurt in the second half of the goddamn Pop-Tarts Bowl. Jaden Daniels, last year, you may remember or you may not, the ReliaQuest Bowl. The granddaddy of them all. Jaden Daniels just sat it out last year, didn't play in it because he knew he had a pro career coming. And why go get your ligaments rearranged in your knee in the fucking ReliaQuest Bowl if you know that you got a pro career coming up? And obviously things have worked out pretty well for Jaden Daniels in Washington. The Cam Ward thing, I don't see it as a big deal, but you know what? The bat signal has been sent out because we're talking about college football. That means that there's only one man that I need to bring in to analyze this situation. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star joining me now from Nashville, Tennessee, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, Cam Ward obviously has had an incredible college career, all-time NCAA touchdown pass leader. Did he need to play the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl? Is this a story? Is this a non-story? How do you look at it, Ronnie?
Yeah, it's a non-story, man. It's just people, I don't know, people looking to be angry. But can we talk about the most important thing about that game? Dude, advertising and marketing works when it works. So the Bengals are playing a really, really tight game. It's coming down to the end. And I shit you not, Lori and I sat and watched the end of the Pop-Tart Bowl, the trophy presentation, because we wanted to see all the Pop-Tart presentations, like the big Pop-Tart going in the big toaster. We wanted to see the trophy with the built-in toaster. Like how honestly, how embarrassing is that I'm admitting that?
No, listen, there's no shame in that. I'm
it
right
was
here
electric.
with you. Listen,
no pun intended. It was electric.
I'm telling you. No, they've done. How upset do you think that the Egos people are? I'm going to foreshadow today's America's Poll of the Day. The Egos people, this was sitting there on a tee for them for years and years. They could have had the Egos Bowl and gotten in on all this good stuff, and they didn't do it, man. There's so many bowls, right? Like I joke about it all the time, right? It's the Hot Pockets Bowl presented by Cialis or whatever, right? There's all these bowls and they change from year to year. And
that seemed a little too personal. That seemed a little too personal.
I'm just gathering things that are important to me in my life, Ron, and putting them together into a bowl game. No, look, man, it's pretty stupid when you really look at some of these bowl games, and it's, you know, now too, in this era, it's like some 6-6 team against a 7-5 team in some goddamn, you know, the fucking Chex Mix Bowl brought to you by AutoZone or whatever. The Pop-Tarts people, they figured it out. They got heard in a sea of irrelevant bowl games. So maybe there is something to be learned here in terms of marketing. Who else got heard, Ronnie?
We did the same thing, man. We switched it over and we watched the end of the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, brought to you by Gin and Juice by Snoop and Dre. Like, it was like Snoop has a lowrider convertible. I believe it was an Impala. He just cruises out holding the trophy, and then he goes up on the stage. It's like, this is fantastic. Like, we live in a time where Snoop Dogg is sponsoring a game, which my wheels are spinning, Ricky. Super 70 Sports Bowl sometime?
I'm saying we need to get OutKick's best people.
Well, brought to you by the Ricky Cobb Show at OutKick.
I'm just saying. That's a prestigious one right there. Look, some of these bowl games are actually, I mean, I know hindsight's 2020, but like you take like Indiana or any of these teams that got beat in the first round of the college football playoff, right? They don't get, there's nothing popping out of a toaster trophy for them.
Nope.
You know, it's if you get bumped in the first round of this thing, it's kind of just an unceremonious end to your season, you know, especially when all these shit teams are out there playing for a trophy in all of these bowl games. I don't know. I'd rather win the Pop-Tarts Bowl than get beat by Notre Dame in the first round of the college football playoff.
Did you see at all the end? I mean, the swag that they got after the game, like all the players, it was like they'd won the World Series or the NBA championships. They all had hats with the logo on it, and it said, they had the Pop-Tarts logo, like, and T-shirts. Like, wow, I might go on eBay and try to find something.
Dude, I had some Pop-Tarts last night.
What flavor?
They always hit real nice. Frosted strawberry. That's my go-to. I know that's pretty much
brown sugar.
That's probably
brown
the most
sugar
basic
frosted
flavor, but you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with brown sugar. Mick Jagger knew what he was talking about when he sang about brown sugar. Ronnie, Terry Bradshaw. Let's bring it up. We're talking about quarterbacks. You think Cam Ward will ever get a commercial? Ronnie, take a look at this.
Somebody.
Well, back in the 1970s, Terry Bradshaw, and we don't have the footage of the commercial itself, I guess, but Terry Bradshaw endorsed Redman chewing tobacco, man, just straight up. He was slinging a pouch of Redman around like a football.
And we talked about it last week.
We have a dramatic screenshot today. Yeah. Just imagine in your mind that Terry Bradshaw throws that Redman like a football.
Well, last week we talked about it. Walt Garrison and Earl Campbell both did Skull, so it was different times back then.
Skull, brother, is what the great Earl Campbell used to say. Ryan, Cam Newton. Man, I don't know, man. Cam Newton, how do you feel about Cam Newton? Does he get on your fucking nerves? Because I got to be honest with you. Every time I see Cam Newton, I can't get over the way that he portrays himself to actually listen to him. So I can't decide what I think of his opinions because he dresses like the missing member of Cameo or whatever back from I don't know what he's doing.
Word up.
Yeah. I saw him once dressed up. He looked just like the guy from Cameo. And it was just, if he talked like that guy, if he had his voice, I might be more interested. But look, I can't speak to the strength of all of Cam Newton's takes, but I can definitely give you my opinion on this one, Ron. But I'll ask you for your opinion first after we listen to Cam Newton's thoughts on Major League Baseball being a dying sport.
Baseball is like I hate to say a dying sport. I think baseball will be surpassed by WNBA in 20 years. Baseball ain't even being played by Americans anymore.
Bro, bring back steroids, bro. Bring back steroids for baseball, bro. I'm telling you to change everything. No one can't do it, but I'll tell you that was when they was hitting them things out the park, bro. It was different, bro.
That's what it is.
Yes, bro. I used to
like some judges, and they still hitting it out the park.
Yeah, but the majority of players, to my point, I don't know about that bring back steroids.
Hey, hold on. We did not approve this message.
Hey, I'm Cam Newton, and I do not approve that message.
That boy true.
We got a bunch of blurters. You know, he's blurting out shit.
Straight back steroids. What?
Like, what?
That was off the wall.
Like, that was, bro, fuck that.
Fucking flag his ass.
What the fuck was that? Challenge that motherfucker, bro.
Flag his ass.
God. But that's all I'm saying, bro. For those who take offense to it, it's just the truth.
No.
It's like, who's really paying attention to baseball? Especially paying attention to baseball in the regular season.
Ron, I didn't know that he had a challenge. Why don't we have a challenge flag? You know what? You know what I'm going to do, Ron?
Get challenge flag.
I'm going to challenge that stupid fucking hat you're wearing. Can I challenge that? Can we get people to review your outfit? Cam Newton, he's wearing a sweet Randall Cunningham jersey.
I was going to say, he's got a Randall Cunningham jersey on in that stupid, was that like moose ears on four-leaf clovers or something? That was so dumb.
It's like a 10-gallon hat.
No, it
like,
wasn't. No, that was like a
so
German. That was a German hat. Like
okay.
It didn't have the thing around it. No, that was dumb. It was dumb.
Why
like
does he dress like? I'm being told that we've got some shots of Cam Newton's fashion blunders.
Oh, that's the same hat with an orange bow.
Ron, you'd look good in that hat.
Oh, I'd look amazing.
Maybe next year's NFL, but this year's an IPA. Maybe the loser of next year's NFL picks has to wear a Cam Newton
I would argue
hat.
the winner gets to wear that hat.
Well, I would argue that the loser wears that hat. What the fuck is going on there?
How about when he had that foxtail
like
thing hanging from his waist? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that. This one here is actually not that bad by his standards.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Other than the bow tie, you know.
You ever wear a bow tie?
Bow tie guy.
You ever wear a bow tie?
I
wedding,
never have
maybe?
worn a bow tie seriously. I wore a St. Patrick's Day bow tie one time while I was lecturing, but it was just to be festive and funny. Not because I actually thought I was going to be pulling off a bow tie.
What about when you're role playing in the bedroom as a Chippendale dancer?
Ron, no comment. I shall offer no comment on this. Listen, he's saying that in 10 years let's just get to the meat.
He said 20. He said 20, and he's wrong. Like, I don't even like baseball, and that's a stupid take. Like, was he hanging out with George Karl about like women's basketball, like coming up with these hot takes that are just ridiculous?
Has he been inhaling fumes from like a diesel engine? Hey, do we need to give him a cognitive test here? I mean, Juan Soto just got a $765 million contract. And I don't think the New York Mets, and look, that contract may end up being bad. It may not. I don't know. But I don't think that anybody is going to be paying anybody $765 million if they're going fucking broke for starters. And what's the combined salary of everybody in the WNBA? That's what I'd
Juan
like to
Soto
know.
makes in 1 year.
Yeah. Makes more, and probably much less than a year, I would guess. Because what did Caitlin Clark make last year? Like $74,000?
I think the top, it's like 85. I think like 100,000 is the one of the, or 120 is the top. Like if you've been in the league for a while. So yeah, it's a ridiculous take. I mean, but you know what? Props to him because we're talking about
it.
Yeah.
Well, see again here, and this is where like I feel weird about this stuff because one of the things that you and I talked about early on when we were weighing getting into this industry was just the way the industry works in a lot of cases, right? Where people say outrageous things to get noticed. It's sort of like its own ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. Stephen A. Smith says something outrageous or Cam Newton says something stupid, whatever, and then it provides us with content.
Yep.
Right. So we have something to talk about. And it's like all of these shows sort of feed off of one another. And we don't try, I think you and I are not guilty of contributing bad takes into that ecosystem just for the clout or to get noticed somewhere. We avoid that, but you can't help but take on some of these statements. I can't imagine Cam Newton really believes that. Does he really believe that? If he really believes it, then fine, fair game. But does he really believe that, you think?
Well, do you think that George Karl really believes that Juju could play in the NBA? By the way, I watched like 5 minutes of the USC basketball game last night. We'd finished watching the football game, and I was just flipping around, and I saw USC was playing. I'm like, oh, I'll see. Dude, she's really good, but she was getting, she would making attempts to get to the basket, and a defender would slow her down. Do you think there's any chance an NBA player would ever have a hard time getting to the basket in a women's college basketball game?
What do you think Brian Scalabrine would do in the WNBA? Remember he told that one guy, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. The dude that thought he could play him, and I think he beat him like 11-0 or something. What do you think, off of his couch right now, how old is he, 40?
Yeah.
Over 45? I don't know how old he is. I've lost track of my Scalabrine aging process. He would go into the WNBA this year and average he's 36. What would he average? Would he have
75?
46?
He'd average 75 points a game.
He would, he's 46 years old here. So I think he would, realistically, average at least 40 and 20.
Well,
you think 40 points and 20 rebounds is realistic?
No chance. If he posted up, he would score literally every time he got the ball. If they could get the ball to him, post it up, he would just turn and he'd shoot, and he'd make it every single time. So
you think that he could post up the great Angel Reese? Listen, Ron, Corbin Burns, it's not just the Juan Soto contract. Corbin Burns, who is a former Cy Young Award winner, just signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks, 6 years, $210 million. And I'm pretty sure, Ron, I'm going to guess that you've never heard of Corbin Burns. Is that a fair? He's not among the 10 that you can name.
I heard of Corbin Burns about 26 seconds ago when you brought him up.
All right. Well, he's going to be making $35 million a year. So let's leave Juan Soto and the biggest contract in the history of pro sports out of the equation here and just look at Corbin Burns, $35 million a year. I don't think baseball has anything to worry about. Look, things are just different now. It's not 3 channels with people sitting around with nothing to do but watch the World Series or the baseball game of the week. There are infinite options that we have nowadays that people didn't have in the 1920s or the 1950s or the 1970s when I was discovering baseball. Attendance is good. People are buying merch, obviously, off the charts like never before. I don't know. I don't see the problem there, Ronnie, but I do see one problem today. We haven't yet done America's Poll of the Day. Can we do it? At Super 70 Sports over on X. Oh, my God. Let's light this candle. It's been a week. The public demands it. The Eagle crying. This is the next to last poll of the day of 2024, Ron. The goddamn year is almost over. I hope you had a good Christmas. We'll have to catch up a little bit. You and I were talking about how we've barely texted. I mean, we've sent each other some links and stuff because we're guys and that's just what we do. But we haven't been in this close a communication the last week, Ron. This is our first chance to really catch up.
Ricky. I miss you, Ricky.
I'm telling you, buddy. Hugs from Chicago, my friend. Here is today's America's Poll of the Day. We pit 4 good things against each other to determine what the best thing is, and then all of the best things from Monday through Thursday get paired together on Championship Friday, and that's just how it is. So today's options, Ron, let me go through them real quickly. We have Eggos. I did a little bit of a foreshadowing there about Pop-Tarts, but Eggos have always been a favorite of mine. My buddy Jay would come over to the house when I was a kid. My mom would make us Eggos with butter and syrup, and we would pound some Eggos and then go back outside and play. So I do love some Eggos. Jason Bateman, Ron, one of my girlfriend's favorite actors. I just saw his new movie Carry On this week. It's I believe it's a Netflix original movie.
Fantastic.
It's
we
okay.
watched it too. I thought it was pretty good.
I'll give it a thumbs up, but it wasn't quite as.
Hey, if you're talking about being entertained for an hour and 45 minutes or so, absolutely fills the bill.
It's pretty good. It was all right. I give it 2.5 stars out of 4, Ron.
He played that character so well too, like
Horse.
just an emotionless psycho.
Bateman was great. I would have liked more Bateman and less of the other guy. Nothing against him. Horse, Ron. Well, I mean, if you're of a certain age, I hope I don't have to explain to anybody what horse is. It's the basketball game. And then lastly, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca in Manhattan, the home of the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers, the site of so many historic boxing matches and so forth. So there are your options. We've got food, we've got an actor, we've got a fun game to play in the driveway, and we've got one of the more historic sporting venues in this country. Break it down for me as only you can, Ron.
So had you put like Hampton Inn, make it yourself waffles, maybe I would have voted for that, because that's just, you get that little cup and you fill it up like a Dixie cup. You fill it up with the batter and you pop it in there and wait a couple minutes and boom, fresh waffles. Jason Bateman, I mean, man, that dude's like, he's done everything. Arrested Development. Wasn't he in what was his sitcom when he was a kid? My brain's,
I'm glad you went there. First of all, he was always great on Silver Spoons.
Silver Spoons, thank you.
Remember, but then he had his own show called It's Your Move.
Okay.
And it was really good as I remember it. I haven't seen it in 40 years, but I remember loving it when I was a kid, and it got canceled after a very limited number of episodes aired. It was a ratings casualty.
And then did you watch Ozark on Netflix? I mean, Ozark on Netflix is Ozark's on Netflix is one of their top shows ever. Last season was kind of,
I watched the first season or the first season and a half. I'm just not, and it was good, but I just fall out of it. There's numerous shows that I start watching and then it starts to feel like a job. Yeah. I'm one of those people. I guess I'm in the minority, Ron, but binging TV shows, sometimes it starts to feel like work to me.
Listen.
And I don't like that.
Lori and I did work over this Christmas break. I mean, we started and finished a couple series. So, Horse and its cousin, when you don't have enough time, Pig. Like that's Pig. What I picked.
Yes.
Because it was always like you if you just had two people, it gave you something to do, and you could do it for hours if you needed to. Madison Square Garden. You want a quick story about Madison Square Garden? You're gonna be mad at me when I tell you this.
Well, listen, I do. So
all right. So it's 1997 or 1998. I was like, I don't know, the 8th caller to a call-in show, a sports talk radio show in Atlanta. I won 2 tickets to see the Thrashers play a hockey game in Madison Square Garden, and it paid for our plane tickets and it paid for our hotel, like everything. We never went to the game because I just didn't like hockey. So we just were tourists on their dime and we never went to the game.
Dude, what?
I know you're mad.
What the fuck?
I know.
Yes,
I said you're going to be mad at me.
Experiencing anger. Dude, what the? What? Have you ever been there?
No.
Dude.
No. It was a miss. It was a miss. We got a free trip to New York.
I've been there. Come on, man. You want a trip to? I'm disgusted.
Okay. To be fair,
leave. I'll do the rest of the show by myself.
To be fair, it was the first time we'd ever been to New York. We were only there for I don't even think we were there for 48 hours. I think we were there for 36, 38 hours. And I just didn't want to spend 3 hours between getting there, watching. We just were like, no, we're going to take advantage of this free trip to New York. So I stand by my decision.
Well, I've been to the Garden a few times. I saw a middleweight championship fight there. I saw some NCAA tournament action there. I've been to a couple of Knicks games.
Did you know very recently, I think probably sometime in October, there was actually a Nazi rally there, from what I heard.
Oh my God. Well, look, if we're gonna pivot, well, we gotta get to this fucking poll. Who do you vote for and who wins?
I voted for Horse.
That's the bottom line here.
I voted for Horse.
Right,
I think that's gonna win.
I'm gonna vote for the fucking Garden.
Okay.
I'm voting for the Garden, and I think, Jesus, I don't know. I think it's between Horse and the Garden. I think Egos is going to finish last. That's the only thing I feel confident about. Jared, let's light that candle. Tim is not with us today. Nick Sia, the great Nick Sia from the Dan Dockett Show, is with us today. And, well, I was right. I was barely right that Egos are in last place.
Jason Bateman's strong.
So that's a thing. Jason Bateman is almost as strong as Horse. See, this is what this poll gives us, Ron. This is the cultural value that the America's Poll of the Day has. Who else, if you didn't watch this show, would you ever know what was more popular between Jason Bateman and Horse?
No. I mean, it's just, no.
You would not know that. So Horse looks like it's probably going to win over 5,000 votes cast, Ron, on this nonsense.
People are hungry for that poll after
5,000 people. Yeah, they're hungry for the poll after not getting one for a week. But look, office productivity down all over America. People just, I'll get around to it later. I'm working on America's Poll of the Day. It's got to help people get through their work day a little bit. Ron, we can help you kill 10 minutes at work. 10 minutes might be a little long to agonize over the poll, but I don't know.
It might be.
I don't know. Ron and I just talked about it for that long. Mark Cuban is back. Ron, Mark Cuban, few people did more to damage their public reputation and persona during the election season than Mark Cuban. And so Mark Cuban, I don't know if you saw this or not, he attempted to troll Elon Musk. And he got a lot of comments here. Elon Musk tweeting, "Please post a bit more positive, beautiful, or informative content on this platform." And Mark Cuban says, "You first." Mark, just crawl away. Just crawl, just limp away. Go somewhere in your Rachel Maddow glasses and come back when you find your nutsack again. That would be my advice to Mark Cuban, who I used to enjoy quite a lot. I was a Mark Cuban supporter in terms of what he did with the Mavericks, Shark Tank. I always thought Cuban was Mr. Wonderful is the true star of that program, Ron. That's a great American.
Big Kevin O'Leary fan.
Kevin O'Leary. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary, who believes in capitalism in this great country of ours. Mark Cuban, I don't know, dude. Like, just stop. Mark Cuban is never going to win a war of words with Elon Musk, and he's especially never going to win one on X. Not if you've been awake for the past 6 months.
I'm curious. What the fuck has Mark Cuban done to help society? Like, he owns a basketball team, and he owns he invests in some companies that he finds on Shark Tank. I mean, how he got rich, props to him. Pretty cool. You know the story, right? Like, he started, what was it called? Broadband or whatever. So you could listen to away sporting events. But holy shit, man. Elon Musk, all he does is help the world. You can go back as far as, what was it, in Thailand when those kids were in the caves? He was like offering to, like, hey, I've got this, we can use this kind of remote control boat that can go through it. And when countries get decimated by either wars or by natural disasters, he gives them free Starlink, like space exploration.
Dude,
like,
listen,
what the fuck has Mark Cuban done?
Thank God that Elon
free speech.
Musk
free speech
is a good person. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon has been correct on most of the big issues. And thank God he's a good guy. Because if Elon Musk was an asshole, everything would look a lot different in this country, Ron. I know they're trying to divide Elon and Trump by the Democrats are, calling him President Musk and whatever. They think that they're going to be able, and who knows, maybe they will be successful, but they're trying to play to Trump's ego and, drive this wedge because, Trump's not going to want anybody to think that Elon Musk is really the one who's in charge, right? But the truth of the matter is Elon Musk he's probably, I don't even think it's controversial to say he's probably the most important living human being.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Greatest American in this day and age. I don't know. Remember when they thought that Twitter was going to run out of steam in 36 hours after he bought it? That take is never possibly going to get colder than it already is. But the nastiest shit that people ever said to me on the X platform, Ron, was when I tweeted. I had all these people saying, well, it's been good knowing you. We'll see you. And I tweeted, Elon Musk sends people to outer fucking space. I'm pretty sure he can keep an app running.
Yep.
And it got like almost 40,000 likes or whatever. But some of the nasty shit that people said to me over that, unbelievable.
How about everybody, said how dumb he was for paying $44 billion for Twitter? Like, it just came out, a couple weeks ago, his net worth right now is like at $420 billion. Like, I think Elon's doing okay.
Yeah. Anybody who's getting up and going to work for somebody else really doesn't have a claim to assess Elon Musk's intelligence level. He spent his entire life being criticized and mocked by people who have a fraction of his intelligence and perspective. Ron, Elon Musk, isn't shitty, but you know what is shitty? Let's get it up here. You and I like cereal, Ron. Take a look at this.
Ugh.
Take a look at this pile of shit.
Ugh. Ugh.
Almost as shitty as Mark Cuban. This cereal.
Not as, but close.
Close to. As I tweeted, if you were 8 years old in the 70s and hungry, and you found a box of this in the kitchen cabinet, you'd have fucking starved before you poured yourself a bowl. Some cereals were just, if you were a kid and you looked in the cabinet, there were some cereals that just might as well have not even been there. Ron, you know what I mean?
Did your mom ever try to play the
house and I see this? No.
Did your mom ever try to play the healthy trick on you and get cornflakes instead of Frosted Flakes? And you're like, fuck that, and just got the sugar bowl and just dumped so much sugar?
Yeah. You got to get the sugar bowl out for that. I mean, there were a lot of these cereals that fell into this category of just not being edible. Like
how about grape nuts? Wasn't that like gravel? No, grape nuts. Was that like gravel?
Grape nuts was basically like gravel that you put in milk, and then you tried not to chip your teeth on it. The shredded wheat. Now,
without the frosting,
shredded
I can
wheat,
do that. I can do that.
Without the frosting?
Yeah.
You can eat it without the frosting?
No, I can do it with the frosting. No, I can do it with the frosting.
With the frosting. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to take the shredded wheat. I would eat the frosted side, leaving just like a pile of hay.
Just lick the frosting off.
Yes, that's exactly what I used to do here. Well, let's get up this tweet of Joe Rogan. I believe we've got a pretty funny tweet here, and it speaks to Elon's, you are the media now, right? Joe Rogan, did you see he was dressed up like an elf, Ron, hosting his show here recently? I don't know if you saw it or not. I think we may have the tweet somewhere. Maybe we fucking don't. I don't know. Do we have it? If we don't have it, just imagine Joe Rogan dressed like a fucking elf. There it is.
There it is.
Geiger Capital tweeting, I thoroughly enjoy that journalists constantly cry about Joe Rogan not being qualified to speak on important political issues And then he just dresses up like an elf and drunkenly talks politics with his boys to an audience 500 times larger than them. Joe Rogan's not reading a lot of legal notes like some people. I'm talking to you, Sonny Hostin. Has it been a while since Sonny Hostin read a legal note?
But did he ever dress up like Gilligan and do an international show? Nope.
No, he didn't. You rocked that